Hey guys, just doing a quick demo video on this Graflex. It's a little special and I'll show you why. It is a TFA config, nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy. But inside the chassis we have two 26650s. This was super tight to fit, in fact so tight that the cobalt isn't riveted, it's actually just glued on with some E6000. I wouldn't recommend using this as a belt hanger, but technically speaking you can. You've got a bunch of different fonts on here. All provided by the client. So some of them, for the boot sound, there wasn't a boot sound in the font folder. They just didn't have a boot sound, so I just copied random effects from the font and used it as the boot. We have the blade plug here. This is an older style one where this threads in. And here's the chassis. It's a fairly straightforward chassis. It's just an SLA print in just a black resin. I gotta touch this up a little, but not a whole lot to it, but the two gigantic batteries. To take them out, you want to be a little careful. They do put some strain on it. It's a fairly tight chassis because of the size of the battery, so be careful putting them in, be careful taking them out. There are some stress points on the chassis. Don't handle the chassis outside the hilt if you can help it. Overall, this is a semi-fragile build, just because of how little actual chassis space there is with the batteries. So when you put them in, don't do the angle and kick it down. Try and put it on straight up and down like this. And then brace the chassis as you press it down. And don't press too hard. It'll sit itself in place. And then this one as well. The nice thing is, you don't need both batteries to power this hilt. You can use one if you like. I recommend using two for the structural integrity, but you could technically get away with just one. It's just got a very basic config. Full color wheel and whatnot. So you can set it to blue, and it's got a save state, which is nice and handy. Functions perfectly inside the hilt as well. It's all been sized. It was tricky with the slide switch because this is a Roman's top, which for some reason doesn't work super well with TGS parts. Oh, and that's it, the blade plug. So this is just the blade plug from Zimmer. I've just kind of touched it up so it doesn't have the pixel PCB at the bottom. But you just want to push it so it's nice and flat, nice and flush. And then it'll just sit there because it's a pretty tight fit. If you push it down further, it will go further, but just sit it where it looks good and it'll stay there, and then you can use the glass size spring for retention. You can also use the 440 screw up above for blade retention if you replace it with a longer one. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching. May the force be with you.